Good morning. Thanks for joining me. Day 13 of the bike build. This episode is entitled Wobbles. What are the wobbles? Well, with any long-term project, you go through periods of not being sure whether you've done the right thing, being tempted to just bin it and have an easy life, or start again writing off any purchases. This isn't really a viable option at this stage. Why do we have these almost buyer's remorse? Well, it's a little more in depth, so let's take a look at the facts. The bike build is a loosely termed race replica The bike's history was supposed to represent a 1970s, round about 72, a Yamaha TD3. There was also a 350 version called a TR3, and this will become relevant shortly. I was never going to purchase a TD3 or a TR3. I was always going to build a race replica. And of course that means compromise. Where's the compromise in this build? Well, I chose a very loosely association between the bike I bought in parts and the bike I was trying to emulate. The bike I bought was a 1976 DT175 motocross style single cylinder Yamaha. The single cylinder wouldn't be too much of an issue, because I was never going to try and replicate the actual engine and speeds achieved by a TD3. But the frame, it had to end up looking like the race replica I was trying to create. Now, I have in my mind information from the past of what makes a good race bike. And it's things like wheelbase around the 54-inch mark, head angle, wheel sizes, and then the overall dimensions of the race bike. I've had a recent attempt at enjoying modern bikes and found them ridiculously top heavy. So that's why I've gone back to the 70s, where the bikes were nimble, could change direction easily, and had a low centre of gravity. There are databases out there from which you can gather what the wheelbase was of a chosen motorcycle and all the other factors. But when I purchased this frame and parts, I didn't allow myself the luxury of looking at the database and working out what's what. I just thought, you can do it, Brian. Yeah, budget and Scarpa. So, it's come home to roost. The differences between a 76 motocross style Yamaha and a 72 TD3 full-blown road racer at phenomenal cost and rarity value. Now, let's just touch on the rarity value. If I was to ever win the lotto and purchase one of these bikes, it would still stand in my living room, pride of place for me to look at whenever I turn my head. But that's about it. Yes, I may be able to parade it, but getting back to what I'm trying to achieve, I just want a bike I can take on a trailer and put alongside me in a field of other similar enthusiasts and chew the fat with passers-by. So there's only a certain price that I would put on the value of that. As good as it's going to be, and I'm really looking forward to it, I could never, ever, ever justify spending thousands of pounds on a bike that wasn't worthy of going on the track. And if I wanted to go on the track, then this isn't the project. I may parade a lap or two at slowish speeds, but above and beyond that, this isn't what I'm trying to achieve. Some winters I just try and get through the winter with a project. This is a means to an end to build a race rep that I can actually trailer around the country and enjoy interacting with other fellow bike enthusiasts. So, all at a modest price, and I want to be proud that I've secured this as cheap as I can build it while still remaining the integrity of the original concept, i.e. a 70s race rep. When I look at some of the very expensive originals or race reps built to look like an original, I find myself noticing all of the faults, all of the compromises. So if they are set the bar so high with price, and yet are still compromises that I can spot, then I'll get a big kick out of building my race rep at a price that I'm very proud to announce. Where are the compromises? Between the compromises on the DT, the motocross style Yamaha, is that the forks are possibly slightly longer or longer springs, possibly a different rake head angle, given a longer wheelbase by a couple of inches. But, and here I go grasping at details that'll make my project just that bit more agreeable. Apparently, the 350 version of the road racing Yamaha, the TR3, increased the wheelbase considerably in the later part of the TR3's life. So that's a fact that I've just discovered. Now, things like the seat width doesn't seem much, but when I look at detail on a race bike, I look for things like, did a TD3 seat fit over the top rail? And yes, it did, whereas mine doesn't. It doesn't. So that means the motocross, which obviously was built to house and use a larger tyre, so I've got a slightly wider at the rear set of seat rails. I've got slightly different fork angle, slightly longer forks, which I can adjust by having the stick through in the top yoke as much as I want. And I've even thought about the possibility of shortening the springs, grind a few coils off shorten the springs, drop the front end, shorten the wheelbase and get a more progressive and aggressive look to the bike. So are these wobbles normal? Well, they are for me. Every major purchase, every major project, you go through a period of wondering if or what, or have you done the right thing. I've just heard this morning that my fairing's finished. I've had a race rep fairing made in white, and the builder is just checking whether he's got a screen in stock. So, wow. Now, this is a relative, and I say a relative, major purchase in the build. But it's the cheapest way I could find to get a quality item that's good enough to stand in my living room. Yes, I could go around the boot sales, the auto jumbles, and maybe a fairing that'll eventually pop up, well used, well battered, possibly needing repair, possibly dirty and needing a respray. All of those, apart from the time consuming part, all of those put me off going down the second hand route. So I'm biting the bullet. The chap that's building the fairing is a craftsman, and it's been an absolute amazing experience finding him, working with him. He understands what I'm trying to do, and he's guiding me through the process. So when the fairing arrives, I guess I'll have lots of new wobbles. But I do think once you've purchased something and you're able to enjoy owning it, then the beauty of a large project and the mental well-being, i.e. it gives you a lift every time you see it. The beauty of that is possibly worth more, a lot more, than the intrinsic value you've spent on the project. I'm going to wrap it up now saying that these wobbles are just like riding along a road. Eventually the road flattens out and you're able to pin that throttle once more. Ride through the wobbles, enjoy the process, have faith in your judgment, don't make any harsh, quick decisions, and keep it pinned. Cheers. Thanks for watching.